Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Studies Info Session presented by Oregon State University. Today's presenters, we have two. We have Corinne Freeling-Burton from the Women's Studies Department here at OSU, and myself, Simona Bocic. I'm an OSU eCampus staff member. So here's the agenda for today's webinar. We're going to cover a lot of ground, a lot of information for you about the degree program and about Oregon State University. And we will give you plenty of time at the end for questions and provide you with answers. And what we're asking folks to do is to hold on to your questions until the very end. So we're going to get through the presentation first and then answer your questions. You are more than welcome to type in your question ahead of time, and then as we get into the question section, we will start answering them at that point. So first thing we want to do is cover Oregon State University, just in case you're not familiar with the institution. Our main campus is located in Corvallis, Oregon. Don't worry about looking that up if you're not sure where that is located. It's in the state of Oregon. Just as a reference point, Portland is our largest city, and we are about an hour and a half south of Portland. So we're a fairly small town here. OSU is one of the main institutions in the city. We were founded in 1868, so we are a fairly old institution as far as the U.S. goes. And now we have an enrollment of just over 24,000 students, and that continues to grow, especially our online student population. So a little bit more about Oregon State. We are a world-renowned research institution, and we are also accredited by the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities. And one of the unique things about OSU is that we are a land, sea, space, and sun grant research institution, so one of only two in the nation that have that designation. And really what that means is that those designations bring a lot of funding to us as far as for us to conduct research. And so most of or all of our faculty essentially do conduct research, and that benefits our students in a lot of ways. Mainly, whatever research they are conducting, they bring that knowledge to their classrooms. And also for our students, it allows them to also participate in the research. We are also a world leader in several fields, natural resources being probably the biggest, biology, fisheries and wildlife, ecological engineering, and agricultural sciences. So with that, we do look for faculty that are experts in those fields, and they come here and they bring their research with them. So a little bit about OSU eCampus. So eCampus is essentially the online portion of Oregon State University. So it's the same courses that you would get on campus, but presented in the online format. And all online courses are either taught or developed by OSU renowned faculty. So you're getting the same content that you would get in our on-campus classes in the online format. And one of the things that I like to point out about that is when the courses are developed, there's sort of a process that we go through to make sure that they are high-quality courses. And one of those is we work directly with the faculty. So the faculty are our content experts. Those are the people that know the field, they know the content, and they come to us and they go to what we call our program development team. So we actually have a team of people here at eCampus that are sort of the experts in online learning. They continually look for best practices and research in how information can be presented in the online format to get the best results for our students. And so they work directly with the faculty member to develop the content and develop the classes in a format that then meets the best for our online students. We are also a growing institution as far as our online offerings. We now have more than 800 courses online in 80 subjects. So what that means is if you are in a specific degree program, you're not limited to those courses in the degree program. You can take any online course that is out there that is available to you. So you can really diversify your degree program in that manner. And then one big question we get from students is, will my transcript look different if I'm an online student? And the answer is no. Your transcript will look exactly the same as if you attended OSU on campus. You receive the same diploma and the same type of transcript as what we call a traditional on-campus student. So you are getting a degree from Oregon State University. Okay. And a little bit about our eCampus students. So these, the demographics that I put up on the site right now, those are students that are truly our online students. So they are not here on campus. They are studying, from all 50 states, and we now have students from 30 countries. The average age is 33, so you're going to be in classrooms with that, the average age of being a little bit older than what you would consider a traditional student of the 18 to 24-year-olds. And then the main motivation when we ask our students for enrolling essentially is completing a degree. For example, they might have started out at Oregon State University years ago and for whatever reasons could not complete their degree and now are coming back and using the online format to be able to do that. Many of them are working professionals, therefore they don't want to leave their jobs in order to pursue a degree. They want to do it while they're also working. Either that or they're stay-at-home parents. They want to be home with their kids, and therefore the online format works for them. And some people just now prefer the online learning format, so we're getting a lot of students who are like that. And then the very last bullet that I want to point out is that in your classes you will also be among students who are our traditional on-campus students who are choosing to take online classes either because they could not get into an on-campus class here at OSU, so therefore they are choosing the online learning environment as an option for them to continue their degree program. So the next slide I just put up is our student services. So one thing that we realize here at eCampus, it takes more to being a student than just attending a class. We know there's a lot of services to make sure that our online students are successful, and we really work hard to help our students and support them in any way that we can so that from enrollment to graduation, you have the full support of us. And so I wanted to point out a few services. The first one is our Student Services Center. It's literally, we call this, in a nonchalant way, our mom and dad of eCampus. And so if you're having issues with your classes, if you're having a hard time registering, or you need help finding textbooks, or whatever services you might need as an enrolled student here, those folks will help you out, and they're available essentially 24/7, either by phone, email, or phone and email. And the next bullet down, kind of a unique to us, we do have a full-time librarian available for our online students. So if you need help locating a book or an article for a class project or any assignment that you're working on, that person is available here to help you with that research. And then also we have online tutoring. We know sometimes you get into subjects or courses that might be a little bit more tough and you need that extra support. So we do have online tutoring services available for our online students. And then a kind of a new service to us, we now have a career advisor. So if you want some help with decisions regarding your career goals, paths for careers, as far as what degree program you might be in, maybe choices what courses you should take if you are looking into a certain type of career, that person is available for our enrolled students as well to help with that. And then, of course, all of our online students receive academic advising as part of their degree program. So you do have an academic advisor that is assigned to you to help you with selecting courses to meet your graduation requirements as you are in the degree program. And then the very last bullet I want to point out, because it's probably the most relevant to you in the webinar if you're a prospective student, so you're not enrolled here yet. We do have pre-enrollment advising available. So that is a service to you if you are wondering, for example, if you're bringing in a lot of transfer credits, you've been at other institutions and you're wondering how they will transfer to OSU. If you have questions about are you ready for this program or is this program right for you, do you have the right skill set, for example, to go into a certain type of program. So that service is available to you before you even apply. You can just request that simply by calling the 800 number that's located at the bottom of the screen or emailing us and just say you would like to request that service. Okay, so that's enough about Oregon State and eCampus. Probably want to get into the degree program. So with me I have Corinne Freeling-Burton, who is from our Women's Studies Department, and she's the eCampus program lead. So I'm going to turn that over to her, and she's going to talk about the Women's Studies program.
Hello. Welcome, and we're so glad you're interested in hearing more about what Women's Studies at Oregon State has to offer you in your degree plans. Women's Studies programs are an interesting set of, it's an interesting degree because it pulls from so many other degrees. It's truly an interdisciplinary type of degree. We have faculty and instructors who are coming from all of the fields that you see listed on the screen there, and we have students who come in from many different backgrounds. We even have students coming in from more of the hard science backgrounds who take a class in sociology or maybe women's studies. This really resonates. This really adds to my forestry degree, and I want to take more classes in that area. So we have a really rich variety of kinds of students that enter into a women's studies major, and then take the investigation of gender and how gender functions in our society and be able to apply it in many different ways, and then in, of course, many different fields once you graduate. We do have one of the oldest women's studies programs in the nation, where the first women's studies program started being founded in the early 1970s. So we are proud that we're now just celebrating a 40th anniversary here at Oregon State, and it's a very well-respected program in the nation. And our online program is also well-respected. We're only one of 3 degree programs that in the nation that you can receive earn a women's studies degree online, and we're the only one that you can do the full degree online. Other programs have you can do a degree completion portion, but you would need to come in with a lot of your back core general education requirements already fulfilled. But at Oregon State, we have such a wide variety of courses, as Simona talked about, that you can get your whole degree online, which is pretty fantastic. All right, so this is what the curriculum would look like. You can see here on the slide that the total number of credits needed to graduate from Oregon State, and of course some of those can be from transfer credits coming in, and like Simona talked about, the pre-enrollment advising is really great for our students coming in to kind of see where you would be coming into the program, what your transfer credits look like, how many would transfer into your baccalaureate core requirements, and if you have a background in women's studies or gender studies courses, we work with you in figuring out which requirements those have already met. So you can see the breakdown there. Once you get into taking a women's studies major, you have to take so many credits towards your major, and we have a standard set of courses that you would take that everybody takes together for the cohorts coming in together each year, which is really nice that they're really building some nice community together. And then there's a whole bunch of electives. We offer quite a variety of electives, but then you can also take courses to meet your elective credits for the major in various fields. So we have sociology, anthropology, psychology, history, etc., that have offerings that meet a women's studies elective credit. And students are pretty creative about how they meet those elective credits and make it meaningful for what your future career goals might be. There on the right you can see some sample courses, and of course our intro level classes, basic gender studies in the U.S., and then getting into some more specialized fields of study, women in the movies, women in various popular culture aspects, such as our Disney class is quite popular. We have a psychologist who has started some pretty fantastic classes around women, weight, and body image. She also created recently a thought studies class, which has been invoking quite an interest in our on-campus and e-campus students in psychology and women's studies, so nice bridge there. Our gender and science class is quite popular, of course, us being a premier science research institution. We examine the ways that gender and race and class, etc., affect the way that we even begin to ask questions in the sciences, how we can make sure that more people's needs are being met by the kinds of research that's being done in all kinds of areas in our world. We do have an internship requirement. You notice that down there, and very individual. We're having some students do some pretty creative internship projects. We have one student right now working for a local public radio station, and she's helping with their programming, making sure that they are being creative in a pretty small community in how they are addressing issues that are important to women in her community. It's pretty exciting. So I wanted to highlight our newest faculty member. Dr. Mara Shirazi is our newest assistant professor. She just started this fall. here with us, and she was hired to specialize our curriculum in the area of race, ethnicity, gender, and health. And she comes to us with a lot of experience in participatory research, and she's developed several of our classes. She has a special passion on global film, and so she has created our Global Women in Film class, and we're real excited. She's working with a UC Berkeley researcher on a National Institute of Health grant looking at how immigrant and refugee women are dealing with breast health information and how they begin to ask questions within their community and then connecting with the community and the larger community in which they're living. Our other faculty members have a variety of interests. We have a filmmaker. Dr. Patty Duncan's film has been screened at more than 14 film festivals around the world, won more than 6 awards. Dr. Janet Lee has been with us for almost 25 years now. Does a lot of work now around women's history and women's literature and playwriting, particularly in some early women's rights to vote eras in the United States and Australia. And our Dr. Susan Shaw is actually serving as our interim director of our new school of Language, Culture, and Society. We've recently reorganized, and Women's Studies is in a cohort, if you will, with ethnic studies, anthropology, and foreign languages and literature. And so we are offering increasing numbers of cross-listed courses, and we have a mission of social justice as our school's mission, is that our work already was doing so much work in areas around inequity and solving issues around oppression. And so our new school is really trying to address those in some pretty creative, collaborative ways. Our courses have all been developed by our tenure-line faculty, so Dr. Shirazi, Dr. Shaw, Lee, and Dr. Duncan, and also some permanent faculty members have developed some of our classes. We do occasionally teach some of those classes, but what we've really concentrated on doing, which again is unique in women's studies majors offered online in the nation, is that we're pulling in instructors who have PhDs or have particular background in research in the area of the class that they're teaching. So we have counseling psychologists teaching our women, weight, and body image class. We have a actually really exciting performer, pop culture critic and writer who is teaching our Women in the Movies and our Disney class right now. So we're pulling in experts. These are women and other. We have a couple men who have taught for us online as well, coming from all over the country teaching for us. But we're really making sure that we're targeting instructors that are raising the bar for our whole program. Pretty exciting professors and instructors we have teaching for us. Here's a list of some sample jobs that women and men who with women's studies degrees have gone on to do once they graduate. So you can see that list. I have a few more that I wanted to highlight. We have several former or graduates from Women's Studies program here who are working in domestic violence work. So they're working at shelters. One in particular works at a shelter in Portland, doing kind of a swing into night shift, but she does a lot of programming with kids at one of the domestic violence shelters in Portland. We have several graduates who have gone on to work at the state and county, working in particular areas where a lot of women seek services, and that they've talked about the importance of their women's studies, gender studies analysis in the ways that they're able to do some really positive work, working within a governmental kind of oversight job there. We have lots of our alumni go on to graduate school. Several people have gone on to law school. PhD programs, actually, we have a few that are currently going through PhD programs. And again, a lot of our students go on to nonprofit work. We also have a lot of students that then will get their major in women's studies, to have that gender studies as an undergraduate degree, and then go on and do master's work in another, sometimes seemingly unrelated field, like forestry, for instance. But then that undergraduate degree really benefits them when they're seeking work because they can go into maybe forestry management positions with a gender focus that can be pretty attractive to employers hiring someone who gets the way that that gender affects the way that women and men function in a particular field.
And I kind of wanted to, this is Simone again, I wanted to point out also that one of the unique factors of eCampus is that we also now offer 19 minors online. And so if you are a true eCampus student and you would like to add a minor to your degree program to really specialize it in depending on what career you're wanting to go to, we do have a wide selection now available to our eCampus students. So for example, if you are, if you're doing women's studies and you want a business focus, we do have a business and entrepreneurship minor you can add to your degree program. Or if you're looking into, for example, teaching, one of the ways, women's studies as an undergrad with a minor in U.S. history, for example. So that, creates a great foundation for all types of careers. And we do have a fisheries and wildlife minor, so if you are looking into going into forestry or, into those sorts of fields, again, you can really diversify your degree program through that. Do you want to add anything else with the careers? Or
I think that's probably enough for now.
All right. So the next slide, I will cover the cost of the program. That is a major decision point for people looking at coming here. So I wanted to make sure that information was covered. So currently our tuition rates for our undergrad program is $248 per undergraduate credit. So if you're looking at what a typical class would cost, so most of our courses are between 3 to 4 credits. And so a single class, therefore, would cost a little bit under $1,000 to take. I did want to add in the bullet about financial aid. If you are a degree-seeking student, attending full or part-time, you do qualify for certain financial aid. So I went ahead and put on the web link so that you can look up that information and really read through it so that it helps you with your decision-making when it comes to the cost. And again, many of the, if you do have a lot of transfer credits, that will also impact the cost since you're now going to be completing your full 180 credits with us. So that will help as well. So if you're kind of at that point where you're thinking, okay, I'm ready to start, wanted to give you some information about how do you get started with Oregon State. So just know that all students apply directly to Oregon State University. So regardless if you're an online student or if you're going to be coming to campus as an on-campus student, everyone applies through the same admission process directly to Oregon State University. And one of the things that you should ask yourself first is, are you a transfer student, a first-year student, or a post-bac student? So essentially, a transfer student is anyone who has more than 36 credit hours of college credit. So if you have more than 36 credit hours, you are a transfer student. If you have less than that, you're considered a first-year student, of course, holding a high school diploma or GED. And then if you're a post-bac student, that essentially means you hold a bachelor's degree from another institution or from Oregon State, and you want a second bachelor's degree. Then what you would do is go to oregonstate.edu/admissions, and then depending on which type of prospect you are, simply follow the directions for applying. And it essentially means filling out an online application form, paying a non-refundable fee, and then just submitting all of your materials at that point, so your transcripts and things like that. And then we advise students to apply at least 8 weeks before the start of an academic term. This gives it plenty of time for your application to be processed. Also, if you wanted to get into classes at that point, to make sure you have time to order books and things like that. And on the last note about OSU, we are on a quarter term system as opposed to a semester system. So therefore, we have 4 terms a year, and that's fall, winter, spring, and summer. So that essentially means you can start for up to 4 times a year, depending on when you want to apply. Okay. So that essentially completes the formal presentation of this webinar. So I wanted to go ahead and get into the question portion. And so if you have questions, feel free to type them in and submit them to us, and we will answer them. So let me read through these real quickly so I see a lot of questions have already been asked. So here's a question, probably for Corinne. A lot of your courses seem pretty cool, Disney movies. I want to make sure it's rigorous curriculum. Is it a rigorous curriculum? So what are your academic standards?
I'm so glad you asked that. We actually have a lot of students sign up for women's studies classes thinking, oh, it's going to be easy. And honestly, guys will sign up for our classes thinking, oh, I might meet some girls. But our curriculum is actually very rigorous. We hear that in our evaluations. Oh my gosh, I've never done so much reading in my life. I've been asked to think in ways that I've never had to think about. Here's where the interdisciplinary nature of women's studies comes in. We are asking students in many ways to look at something like a Disney movie and then to be able to provide a complex analysis of that film's place in the history in which it was created, what it says in this instance, what it says about the role of race and the history of race up to the point where that film was perhaps created, and then how the film is actually being seen today. If it's a historic movie, what is the reading today? How is it different? How is it more complex today? Or have we moved beyond some of the ideas that perhaps might have been depicted in that? We have an amazing body of textbooks. We also rely a lot on academic journal articles. That's often where we find the most recent research or textual analysis available. Our students find the history of women's studies coming out of humanities and social sciences that there is a lot of reading and a lot of writing that happens in our women's studies classes. Although we do try to encourage creative discussions to create a cyber classroom where students are connecting with each other and sharing ideas, and that you're not just by yourself and at your own desk and your own computer doing work, that there is built into every one of our classes some sort of discussion. A lot of our classes have group projects that students often work across state lines and even nation lines to create a presentation together that will pull in all of their ideas and analyses for that. So we're using some creative ways for students to connect with each other in addition to the instructor. But it's a great question, and we wish more students would ask about the rigor of the class.
The next question is probably for me, which is there a time limit for counting credits from another institution, as in do your transfer credits ever expire at some point? And the answer is I know we've taken, depending on what the credits are coming from, where the institution was, and how long ago it might have been, but I know we've taken credits for us like 20 years ago. But that really is on an individual basis, and so what I would advise at that point is to use the pre-enrollment advising service that we have and have our advisors look at your transcript and just kind of give you a rough estimate of how many of those might transfer over to OSU. So feel free to call that 1-800 number or email us at ecampus@oregonstate.edu and request that service. Let's see, and then, here's another question about the movies. I think the movie class is probably more popular because of, it's very interesting. And so how does that movie class work? Do students have to rent the movies, or are they streamed online?
A combination of both. Actually, streaming rights are actually really hard to get. Most distribution companies still haven't worked out the streaming. For us to do it directly through Oregon State and our course delivery system. So what we do is we're very careful about selecting students that are very easy to find. So a lot of students find Netflix to be pretty invaluable for the movies classes. And even classes that aren't movies based, we often show or want students to watch documentaries that might be available. We always put those with an eye to whether students in even remote areas are going to be able to have access to being able to rent. So our films are either readily available, through local video stores or Netflix or Hulu, those kinds of delivery options.
And the next question, I'm going to make it more general, but how often are the women's studies major classes, for example, women in weight class, available? Are they available every term, or?
Great question. That class in particular is offered once a year. The Generally, our 200 and 300 level classes, so all of our introductory classes, our violence against women, our global women, all of the classes that are required classes for the major at those levels are offered multiple times a year. They also meet baccalaureate core requirements for other students, so those classes tend to be a little bit larger, but we cap our classes at 25, so the class size is really nice. It's very easy to connect with other students and to get really positive, detailed feedback from your instructors. And then once you get up into our upper division, 400 level classes like the Women, Weight, and Body Image class, we offer those about once a year. They fulfill fewer requirements, so they tend to be mostly women's studies majors or perhaps ethnic studies majors in those classes, and so we offer those about once a year. But we have about between a dozen and 18 classes offered every term, so there's a good number of classes offered every term.
Next question is actually pertaining to the graduate level here at Women's Studies. Are any of your master's classes offered online?
We have a couple electives that are offered online at a graduate level. We actually have a brand new Master's of Arts degree program in Women's Studies that just is going effective this term. We're graduating our first Master's MA students this term. We also have Masters of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies students. And that program has been around for a long time, where you can select one or two areas in women's studies. And unfortunately, our master's program is not available completely online, but I think there's three classes that are regularly offered at the graduate level: our ecofeminism class, our Women in Technology class, our Women in Natural Resources class are all offered online, and you can take those for 400 level undergraduate credit or 500 level graduate credit.
And I'm going to go ahead and put up the next slide that includes more online resources for you to, if you need more in-depth information about this program or about eCampus or admissions into OSU or just OSU as a whole. Don't try to scribble this very quickly. What you will get after this webinar, probably the next 24 hours, is a video recording of it. So you will get the whole webinar session again as a video link, and it will also be posted on our YouTube channel, and that's at OSU eCampus, so it'll be there as well for you. So don't worry too much about trying to write down notes. We will send you this in an email after about 24 hours once the video is ready. Let's see, so one of the questions came up again about careers. Oops, I just killed it, sorry. Came up about careers. And what would you say is the most common career path for women's studies? And I know you've been in the program.
Right. Some sort of advocacy work. Most of our graduates go on to do some sort of advocacy for women or children or other underrepresented groups, either at the government level or nonprofit level. But that tends to be where our graduates, or into teaching. I think that's probably the other big field. And we have graduates that go on to get teaching credentials to teach at high school level, English classes or ESL classes, or even go on and complete master's degrees to teach at the college level.
So one last thing I wanted to bring up, I don't see any other questions. If I did miss a question, I apologize. I do review all the questions after the session, and then I will email you personally with an answer, or I will send it over to Corinne, and she will provide you with an answer. So if I missed your question, I do apologize. One thing I did wanted to point out about eCampus and about Oregon State University, one of the things that's been kind of a major objective for us is to make sure that our online students feel the same as our on-campus students. So we're always looking for opportunities to involve our online students with on-campus. And so if, for example, if Women's Studies program has a guest speaker coming in that's a world-renowned lecturer on a certain topic, we will try to live stream that presentation to you so that online students get the same access as on-campus students. And same thing, we try to involve our online students into discussions about things that are happening here on campus, whether or not you can be here on campus or not. And of course, athletic events, we always try to encourage our online students to participate and be true what we call our Beaver believers. If you don't know, Oregon State University's mascot is the beaver. And so we always try to, you know, make you feel as part of our main campus, knowing that you are at a distance from us. So I don't see any other questions, so I will go ahead and end the webinar. So again, if you have any additional questions or just need some more information, feel free to, you know, contact us at eCampus at the 800-667-1465 number, or feel free to email us, and we will be more than happy to respond to you. And again, feel free to contact Corinne directly as well if you have specific questions about the Women's Studies program. So again, thank you, everyone, and it was a pleasure talking with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck.